The brain, a complex mystery organ that influences everything a person does, thinks, or feels. Life after a brain injury can feel just as mysterious and complex, trying to navigate services, experiencing potential isolation, different functioning, and much more. The rehabilitation process can impact the person as well as their supporters. It's often filled with ups, downs, and everything in between, all while the brain is relearning and making new connections within. Join us as the Brain Injury Association of North Carolina sits down with brain injury advocates to discuss a variety of topics surrounding life after brain injury. The more we understand the different aspects of services and effects of brain injury, the better we can help make connections within our community for individuals living with a brain injury. This is Making Connections. Today, we're going to talk about service animals with individuals living with brain injury. Hello, thank you all for joining us today as we talk a little bit about service animals and brain injury. I'm joined here by Chris, and I'm going to let him get us started. And Chris, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I am a disabled veteran. I served in the Marine Corps. Uh, my MOS was 0313, which MOS means my job title. It was LEV crewman, in the infantry. Pretty much, I served 4 years. I was going to serve more. Wound up getting hurt while on active duty, suffering TBI, some other issues. Obviously, with the TBI, I have, side effects from that, uh, and also mental health issues because of the physical problems that I'm suffering because of the TBI. I pretty much, other than that, I do now have a service dog that helps me through a lot of my issues. His name is McClellan, um, and I received him through, um, a great organization, Pause for People, and he's just done a wonderful job so far of helping me cope through my daily issues.
Yeah, that sounds like it's made a really big impact on you. What specific changes did you notice since your brain injury that you've had to kind of cope with and that McClellan has helped you with?
Um, the biggest issues that I've noticed that um, I've had is I have a lot of physical. One being uh, my stability has been really affected. And for a lot of people that don't really know a lot about brain injuries, um, it's there's a lot of different side effects. But for me, my balance is a big thing. Um, there's a lot of uh, physical things that I used to be able to do, um, that I can no longer do. Uh, for instance, I can't do any type of physical activity regarding um, running, walking a lot. working out in the yard, anything of that nature. Because when I do have that happen, or when I do those things, um, I wind up blacking out. I get to a certain point to where I black out and I just completely collapse. Um, and doctors they can't figure out why. They can't. And, it's not because of my heart. It's not because of anything. It has to do with my TBI. There's something that happened when I suffered my TBI that is causing that problem. And they don't know how to fix it. There's no drugs, there's nothing that can do it. I also suffer, like I said, a lot of mental health issues. Uh, One of the biggest problems, and McClellan's been really helping me out. I am a father. I have a wife and I have a 6, almost 7 year old son, and it's been before McClellan. It was a scary time. Um, it being a father, it's very hard for me to say, but there are a lot of times, and it's not because I want to be this way, but because of all the pain that I'm in and everything. My fuse is very short. And there's a lot of times, my son could be doing something, um, and I ask him to stop, and he doesn't. He's a kid, and instead of asking him to stop again or whatever, my fuse is so short that my anger just, it used to be I would just instantly yell at him and get so angry at him that it would terrify him. And he would run into his room or run away from me, and I wouldn't be able to see him for, a good hour to 2 hours. And it's not because I want to be this way. It's because it's just on a daily basis, I'm in so much pain. I do get migraines on a daily. There's really nothing that they can do. I'm on the only medication. I've taken all the medications I am on right now. I am on Amavig. It's a shot that I give myself once a month. I've done everything that they could possibly do for migraines, and there's just nothing that is stopping the migraines. And that's another side effect from the TBI that I'm suffering.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing, telling about your experience as being a parent and having a brain injury. I think that's sometimes not necessarily as talked about. And it sounds like it's hard because you don't want to escalate, emotionally like that. So you have that kind of awareness component. That I think it would be frustrating to, you don't want to be there, but the brain injury kind of brings you there.
Mhm.
Um, in a lot of ways. Do you notice that that happens in other kind of areas other than just parenthood?
It definitely happens in a lot. Not only me being a father to my son, that relationship, but also the relationship between me and my wife. It's I don't I don't know how to explain it other than, and I don't want it to sound like I'm just like a cold person or whatever, but and anyone that has been in pain and is in pain constantly, you, you may know what I'm feeling is the fact that your emotions, you don't really feel much um, regarding uh, the fact of, um, like, as far as the emotion of enjoyment or whatever, because you're in so much pain on a daily basis. It's almost like you're just trying to live from day to day. Um, and you're just trying to get through that day, or you're trying to get through the next couple days. Um, and anyone that has ever suffered migraines, uh, that's just one of the problems I have. I have, multiple back, neck issues that are also causing pain. So it's I don't know how to say, just everything combining all together. It's very hard on a daily basis to to um, I guess, you know, want to still want to live uh, in this environment, in the pain environment is what I'm trying to get at. It especially with my, you know, uh, my wife, our relationship, it's very hard on her. Um, and a lot of people, you know, nowadays they're they don't realize it's not just me that's going through this. It's also my wife, my family, um, my son. Everybody uh is getting like a recourse because of my issues. I guess that's a proper word to say. And it's very, I don't know. It's very hard as a husband and as a father for me to be happy. I try to do as best as I can, and McClellan is helping a lot. And I've only had McClellan since January. We officially black vested in January. I met him July of last year. But he was able to come home with me in January, and then we full red vested in March. And since January, I've noticed uh, a huge change in me. I I don't get as angry as pop, as quick. McClellan definitely I don't know how they do it, but he just can feel the energy off of me, and he'll just come in, he'll lay with me, he'll just he's the best dog I've ever had in my life. Um and I've had a lot of dogs. But overall, the relationships and the struggles that I have, um, you know, it's very hard for anyone to want to be around somebody that's having the emotional problems and the physical problems, uh, because it's not an easy job. And all I can say is that my wife is wonderful, and she helps tremendously. It was hard in the beginning, with everything that went on, because she knew that I had issue like a TBI. She knew that I have mental health issues and other physical. But when, she wants to be there for me, and sometimes when, like I was saying with my feelings, it's very hard, is because I don't normally show my feelings, because it's just most days I'm just trying to get through the day. So I'm not the type of person to where I'm like, oh, let's go cuddle, or let's go out and do things. Now, McClellan has helped that out tremendously. I've got to the point before I got him, to where I maybe went out once a week. That's it. And even then, my wife was pulling teeth for me to go out once a week. Um, it just was to the point I just never left my house, and I felt comfortable that way. I couldn't even really go over to, I mean, even in my neighborhood, I live in a cul-de-sac, and it was like her pulling teeth to even for me to go over to my next door neighbor's house. Um, and so, or to go outside and do something with Gideon or anything of that nature, it was pretty much pulling teeth and her dragging me out of the house to do it. And, that is one thing I'm thankful for, is that McClellan does that. He gives me the security. He gives me um, the wanting to go out with my family and do stuff because I have him, and I know I can rely on him, and he will always either calm me down or he'll get me out of those situations. Um, and that's a huge thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, from what I've heard, what I'm hearing is that, it almost felt like all the pain and the emotional toll was just all encompassing, and that McClellan was able to kind of take, feel like you said, feed off your energy and just kind of be a security for you to be, kind of outside of yourself. I think sometimes, in chronic pain and things like that, all you can think of is the pain. And so now, having your service dog has kind of given that kind of relief a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And so what kind of tasks does McClellan do, specifically? Like what is his task list, if you feel like sharing that? Just a
Okay,
few
so
examples.
he there are there's three main tasks that he does for me. Now there are a lot more. You know, Pause for People has trained him, and he's more stuff than what he'll ever do for me. But some of the tasks that he does do for me is he'll anchor. And what that is he will come when I tell him to anchor, is he will put himself in between my legs. And what that does is when I'm high anxiety in any area, whether I'm in a store, whether I'm in church, or just even at home, when I'm having an issue at home and my stress level is to the max, he will come in between my legs, he'll sit down, and then he sits there with me, and just him being there and me be able to either sit down or look at him and pet him, um, just helps tremendously. The other task is he does retrieve items because of my balance issues. Um, they have trained him to where I can tell him whether you know, I've been trying to get away from the cane, but and so far I'm doing pretty good, especially with him. Uh, I have a inner ear problem that neither one of my inner ears work because the accident that I was in. Um, and So I rely on my vision only. If I do not have my vision to where I can see, especially at nighttime, or like if I start feeling dizzy and my vision goes, I will completely fall down. And I've, I fall, you know, I used to fall every couple days, but now that McClellan has been home with me, it's subsided a lot less because wherever I go, he goes with me in the house. Whether I go, you know, even if he's laying next to me, the minute I get up, he follows me. So he will retrieve items. He retrieves my cane whenever I use it, and if it falls, if I drop anything, I can ask him to pick that up. Um, and he'll grab it and he'll give it back to me. And then his third main task that he does for me is, they call it pay attention. And that command is when I'm in a store, or I am somewhere not at the house or anything like that where there's a lot of people, or maybe not even a lot of people, but like more in a store environment or something like that. I can put him in a sit where he's on the side of me, and he's facing backwards. And so, like, if I'm, say, for instance, if you're looking at something on, let's just say grocery store, you're looking at something on the shelf and you're trying to, look at the labels or whatever. What he does is he'll sit on the side of me, and when somebody's either coming down the aisle or trying to come up behind me, he will basically alert me. And what that means is he will take his nose and he'll nudge the side of my leg to where I know that somebody is coming up behind me, and I don't get freaked out about it. Now, there are a lot more things that he does. He does comfort me at home. He also, when I'm at home, he alerts me. I do have nightmares at nighttime, so he will, when I do have them, he will wake me up when I have them, and then that way he it I know that I'm in a good place. And then the biggest thing is wherever I'm at, he's always with me, and it puts me in a better, calm state of mode. It's not even really a task, but it's just having the pressure of him either laying on me or being next to me to where I can feel him, to know that, he's there with me. Um, and he's there with me through the bad times, through the good times, through everything. And I know that I can always rely on him. And that's the hardest thing for my wife to understand. When he first came home, and a lot of people may think this is a bad thing, might go, this dude is nuts. There's a relationship between me and McClellan that I can't have with anyone else. And it's a relationship that I can tell him anything that's on my mind. I can tell him how I'm feeling. I can tell him, you know, whatever is going on in my mind, what I'm thinking, how my emotions are, and he can feel my emotions even without me even realizing. But on the other hand, I can't do that with my wife. Call me like the worst husband ever. The biggest thing is people are like, oh, you're supposed to be able to tell your wife everything. I can't do that. I don't feel comfortable enough. There's a lot of things I have tried opening up to my wife in the past. And I could just tell by some of the stuff that I tell her, it terrifies her. And it scares her. And so there are things that now I can tell McClellan, I can, talk with McClellan, get stuff off of my chest that I can't do with my wife. I definitely can't do with my son. And I don't feel comfortable enough to even do it with, anyone else. Um, I do see a therapist every 2 weeks. Um, I went up to Richmond, Virginia, the VA hospital up there, and they wanted me to see a person every week. But with the restraints, I see someone every 2 weeks. I do talk with them. But when I can't talk with that individual, I have McClellan here on a daily basis to where I can get stuff off my chest. I can, if I have something that's really, really irritating or bugging me, or maybe just even, the days that I'm having a really bad day and I'm just in a lot of pain, there's comfort that he can give me that my wife can't. And I don't want it to sound like, I'm just the worst husband ever, but it's just the truth. And I know a lot of people that, especially a lot of veterans, can say the same thing. Um, there are a lot of things that we can do with our dogs that we cannot do with anyone else. Even our therapists can't even help us the way that these dogs are helping us.
Absolutely. And I know that that's something I've heard from other veterans, throughout this project too. So you're definitely, not alone in that. And I think there's always been something special about a bond between, humans and animals, in that whether it's, a non-judgmental ear, maybe it's just the act of physically just getting it out, and so I'm just so glad that you were able to find that with McClellan. It sounds like you've had kind of just a lot of growth, especially since getting him. And so I wonder, is there the biggest kind of lesson that you've learned, or maybe that you're in the process of learning, that or something that you're working on that you've learned through this process?
The one biggest process or the one biggest thing that I've learned is you know, every human being um, is wanting to be in control of themselves. They want to not have to worry about, someone else controlling them. The biggest thing that I've learned, and I still struggle through on a daily basis. Don't get me wrong. We've grown a lot, but I still struggle. Um, is relying on him. There's still a lot of times that I try to still keep things or keep my problems um not not like, I'm trying to think how to say it. I don't um not really I'm having a hard time processing how to say it. Uh I'm not doing it intentionally. It's just something that comes second nature to where I just want to keep control of it and, try to brute my way through the problem that I'm having. And sometimes I don't always, try to get his help, even though he's constantly, dad, let's go. You can lay this on me. Um, and that comes in multiple aspects. Not just, my issues. It can be also, you know, issues between me and my wife, me and my kid, anything that, is bothering me. I have to continue to remember that that's what he's here for. He's here to help me get through my struggles. Um, and to help me. And so far he's helped me tremendously. Um, and I just can't put the emphasis enough of how much he's helped me just in what 7 6 7 months that he's been with me. Um, and I'm looking forward to us continuing to go more, farther than what we have been. But that's probably one of the biggest things is me to remember that I can always trust and rely on him and not to prevent him by me being stubborn or pigheaded and trying to take on something myself.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people do is, they're just trying to control the situation. They don't know either how to ask for help or what to even ask to help for. And, sometimes it can limit people. And I see that a lot with, service members and veterans too, with like getting help and how, they find themselves in these situations with, challenges with mental health, with physical health, with brain injury. What advice would you have for kind of your past self that was, struggling, throughout those years, or others that maybe are just soon in their kind of journey after brain injury? What advice would you have for them?
The best advice I could tell either my past self or anyone going that has these issues, one is to go and see the doctors that you can see. Find out exactly what is going on. If they can't figure it out, in my case, yes, it was very frustrating. But on the other hand, the best thing I can tell you to do is, and and this is just me, is honestly try to get yourself a service dog, because there's a lot of points in my past where I kept going and seeing doctors, and I'm not joking you, these are exact words from doctors, is I will go into appointments, um and specifically the doctor would look at me and he goes, "I don't know why you're here. There's nothing I can do for you." Um and all I can say for you is, if you are able, whether you have a family, and you're noticing you're having these flare ups like I did, the anger issues, the anything else, I'm telling you right now, a service dog will help you. And don't be prideful and go, "Oh, I don't need that," because every person that, if you are in this situation that I was in, it got very dark at some point in my life, in the past, after military and where I was before I got McClellan. There was some point in times that it was very dark, to where, some days it was, why am I even here? You know, but all I can say is the fact that he has been more help than me than anyone that I know of. My wife has been tremendous help, but there's a lot of things that she can't help me with that he is helping me with. And if you're in that situation, your life will be changed tremendously by having a service dog.
Absolutely. I think that's a really great message to send to all those out there that might be struggling. And you mentioned a little bit about, going to the doctors and just saying, why are you here? And I think that a lot of people get that because, typically both brain injury and mental health challenges are are invisible in some sort of way.
He's looking at me. Come here. He hears my wife at home, so he's really wanting to go see her.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Come on, jump on. So if y'all want to see, this is McClellan. Look at him. Come here. Look.
Oh.
So that is my service dog, and he's amazing. Um, and I can't thank PAWS for People enough. Um, and also PAWS for Vets. Um, just it feels like they've given me a chance to at least somewhat have a life back with me, not only myself but with my family. And so I just can't thank them enough.
Yeah, absolutely. So where would you what are your where do you see yourself going in, 1 year, 5 year, 10 years? I know that you said you want to make a lot of go even further with McClellan and but so what are your kind of long-term goals?
My long-term goals, and I'm not sure so much of how to achieve them, but I definitely want to start helping other people, especially other veterans, um, realize of how much he has helped me. And I want to, one, not only continue being the best father I can be, the best husband I can be, but I also want to continue trying to, um, I guess, informing other veterans of what these dogs can do. And uh, I don't want it just to be to where I go through life and yes, that is one of my goals is to go through life and to be the best I can be. But I also want to help other people, help other veterans, that have been going through the same struggles that I have gone through, or maybe not even the same struggles I've gone through. But I want to be able to help them uh, to where they don't have to either, I guess, suffer without getting help, um, or that more, you know, and this is a a fact, um, that there are, what is it? I think 21 or 22 veteran suicides a day. Um, and it's been getting brought up more lately, um, more lately. But that's, if there's any way that what I can do, um, to help a veteran stay alive rather than committing suicide because of either A, they're not getting the help, or they don't know where to turn to get the help, that's something I want to try to do. Um, and I'm hoping to use McClellan to do that, um, you know, or leading those individuals in the right direction of the way that I have been gracefully able to get, through Pause for People.
Absolutely. I am 100% with you in terms of, hopefully reducing those numbers of individuals that are impacted by suicide. And, happy that we have the opportunity to talk with you today to maybe start on that education journey and awareness to individuals that there is help out there and that they're not alone. It just, it takes that first step. And so again, I appreciate your meeting with us today. You're sharing your story and being vulnerable about the different challenges that you face on a day-to-day level. Um, I'm going to kind of give you the final words. Anything you want to kind of end on? Either it's if you want people without a brain injury to know or people with a brain injury to know. I'll let you have kind of the whatever your final thoughts are.
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you to you. Um, I want to thank you for allowing, me to come on here and do it. It wasn't easy for me. I didn't have everything pre-planned, but I didn't want to come on here and have like a pre-written, response on everything. I wanted it to come from my heart, come from my mind. And I just want to thank you for allowing me to be here to do the interview with you, and um for everything. uh Again, I want to thank Pause for People, for pretty much saving my life. I don't know how my life would be at this point. It was going pretty bad. Um, and anyone that is struggling, whether you have a traumatic brain injury or whether you have any other physical, mental health issues from the military, uh, please don't feel that you're alone. There are more veterans than you realize, and there's more veterans than I ever realized. You, especially me, I used to always think of, why am I the only one going through these problems? And I never, yeah, you can go to the VA hospital, you can, or, and see all the veterans, but don't feel that you're alone. I had my eyes open, especially during the training with McClellan. I had my eyes open of actual other veterans that are going through this, not exact same situations, but very similar situations, the anger, anything else. I noticed that I'm not alone, and I'm not the only one going through these problems, but there are ways that you can get help. And it may not be through the medical side. It may not be doctors that you can get the help through. Yes, therapists are good, but when you can only see a therapist every 2 weeks, like I do, or once a month, that like some other people do, um, that's not enough sometimes. And there are more ways for you to get help. And the best thing I can tell you to do is just, the first step is to realize that you need the help. Once you realize you need the help, then you need to start taking the actions to get the help that you need. And if you're not getting the help, then you have to figure out the ways to get that help, whether talking to different people, um, you know, or uh, the biggest proponent of, really, before me getting McClellan, applying to get a service dog, I did have a therapist through the VA um, that really helped me. One, she helped me get actually into a TBI um, clinic that I went to Richmond, Virginia. That I was there for a week long, and all I can say is thank you to her, and she knows who she is. Um, there are people that are willing to help you. You just have to continue looking for them. And if you can't find them, there are ways of contacting. Start looking in other places that you haven't been looking. I know it's hard. I was in the same situation. Um, and that's the best place that I can tell you to do.
Excellent advice, and we'll definitely include some resources, and including the crisis veterans crisis line in the description of the video or podcast wherever you're listening to this. And so I just want to finish by saying thank you again, Chris. Really appreciate your time and your advocacy for veterans and individuals just in general. And I look forward to hopefully collaborating with you in some other way again to just continue the education and awareness to connect those individuals. And again, as you mentioned, just knowing that they're not alone in throughout this. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.